Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and we're designandtechtips.com. We're going to do a bit of CSS 101 today. We're going to show you how to apply a CSS effect to just about any module or row or column on your site. If I hover over this image, you see it's going to grow. It's going to have a bit of box shadow underneath. I take it off, it's going to go back. Same with our little module on the right. This is actually a column. It's got 3 modules in it. If I roll down a little bit, I got some blurb modules here. Same with that one. It'll work on a dark surface. Same with the image, and you can pop these out into a light box and keep them linked if you want to. And the same with a little call to action here. Really easy to do, and all we need to do to make this happen is add a simple class name to these modules once we've added the CSS. So let's get started. I'm going to undo everything I've got going on this page, and we'll start from scratch. Okay, well, I reset that now. If I roll back down here, there's that image. As you can see, nothing's going to happen. If we hover over these things, they're back to normal. Great. Well, I'm using Google Chrome here with the great inspector tools. Most browsers have this nowadays, but if yours doesn't, Google Chrome is a free download. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on any element here. I'm going to use this image, and it's going to bring up what they call the inspector tools here. Yours may be on the side or the top, and you can change position of it with the little 3 buttons right there. You want to make sure you have elements one side, and it will show you HTML, and styles on the other side, and it will show you CSS. Now, we're working on the CSS for this image now because that's what I clicked on to inspect initially, and here it is up here, ETPB image. Now, as I'm doing this in the browser here, any other images on the page may be affected until we refresh the page, but that's not a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click after where it says position relative there. And I want to decide what I want to do when we hover over this thing. Well, the first thing that I might want to do is just lift it up a little bit so it jumps up. So let's use a bit of margin for that. I'm going to say margin, dash top. And this is a great way of testing out ideas as well without actually hard coding it into your site. And let's maybe give it negative 15 pixels. You'll see it jump up when I do that. It just erased by 15 pixels. That's fine. And you can make this as crazy as you want. I'm going to keep it fairly simple today. And when it jumps up, let's put a little bit of box shadow underneath. So again, I'm going to left click just beside my last entry there, new entry. I'm going to say box, dash shadow, colon, and let's make it, I don't want any left and right, so I'm going to put a 0 in there. Then maybe let's have it 10 pixels down below. As you can see, it's actually put something crazy in there already, but I want it to be a spread. So let's make the spread perhaps 15 pixels. That's better. It looks more like a shadow now. And you can add your own color if you want to. It's a generic gray there. Let's put in 444. I like to use that one. It's a little bit darker. And if you want more down the bottom, increase this number here. And what this is doing is pushing it down from the top. Let's just roll that down so you can see just a little bit more of the image. And you'll see that there's no real shadow on the top because we've pushed it down by 10 pixels. And like I say, if you want more, just add a higher number here. Double click on it. We'll up this number right here to 20 and you'll see the difference. A little bit too much for me. And if you want a bigger spread, you can up this number right here. Up this to 25. You'll see it's all spread out like that. Let's just leave it like that for argument's sake. That's going to work for me now. And also, I'd like it to actually grow, the whole thing to grow just a little bit. I'm going to make mine grow by 20%. Again, I'm left clicking beside my last entry. Just going to add a new entry down here. And we're going to use transform, colon. We're going to use scale for this today. Put some round brackets at the end with no gap. And I'm going to scale it up by, well, let's put 1.5 in. I know maybe want 1.2. I don't want it quite as big as that. Obviously, adjust to taste. And you can go on. You can have borders. You can change the shape of it with border radius. You can add a border by just adding a border, a color, and a pixel value. I'm just going to leave mine just like that today. Now, because we're doing this in the Chrome Inspector here, if I actually refresh this page, this will all disappear. To make it permanent, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it from that closing bracket right there, all the way up to the dot of the ETPB image right there. Control C to copy. Now I'm going to go down to my dashboard. I'm going to go down to Divi, to Theme Options. Under the General tab at the top, which is usually the page it will land on, if we roll down to the bottom, we've got our CSS panel right here. Here's some that we put in before. We can just scoot that down and put ours on the top, or you can go to the bottom of this list and put it on the bottom if you want. Always a good idea to give your CSS a title, and the title is // Anything that you want to write in between the stars will not be read as code, so it's a great place for titles and notes. So let's just say hover grow perhaps. I'm going to paste all that code we just copied in down below this. So I'm going to scoot down a couple, Control V to paste, and there it is. But what we want to do is we want to create our own class name for this, so we can apply it to any module we want. So I'm going to take the class name that's there initially and the image, everything before that curly bracket there. I'm going to put my own in. All class names have a dot or a period. Put the dot in there. And let's make up a name. Let's say perhaps HV for hover, GR for grow. Oh, let's have the whole word there. HV grow. Now, if I leave it like that and apply it, all these settings are going to be applied to the element in the regular state, not the hover state. I just want this to happen on hover. So right at the end of the W there with no gap, I'm going to put a colon and no gap again. I'm going to write the word hover, H-O-V-E-R. Put a little gap there. Great. We've now created a hover effect that when we hover over anything with that class name of HV grow, don't need that position relative in there because that was already there. Just need the stuff that we wrote, which is the margin top, box shadow, and transform. So anything that we give the class name of HV grow, when we hover over it, it's going to jump up by 15 pixels. It's going to add box shadow, and it's going to transform the scale by 20%. Now, if I leave it just like this, it's going to happen instantly. And just to demonstrate that, let's copy our class name here, just the HV grow without the colon, and hover there. Control C to copy. Make sure you save your changes on this page before you do anything. If you don't, this will not work. Little green check mark up there tells you it's been saved. We can go back to our page now. And if I refresh this page, you'll see that those effects disappear because this is non-destructive when we do it in the browser. It's gone back to absolutely normal there. Now, if I apply that class name to this and hover over it, you see that it's going to happen absolutely instantly. So let's enable the Visual Builder and do that. Now let's roll down to where we want to work. This little image right here, if we go into the image, and this is the same for all modules, dark tab, rows, green tab, and sections, blue tab. If we go into one of these by hitting the cog, you'll find CSS IDs and classes under the advanced CSS IDs and classes. It's a class name. Make sure you put it in there and not the CSS ID. I've already got a class name in this, and it's okay to have multiple class names. You can only have one ID, but class names you can have multiples. So if you've got something in there, just put your cursor to the right of it, make a space with a space bar, and we'll paste in our new class name as well, Control V. And like I say, it's okay to have multiple class names on elements. Let's move this across. Save our changes now. If I hover over, you'll see it's doing it, but it's doing it sort of instantly. It's not sort of fading up to there. It's just jumping to our new settings, which is not going to work for me. So to make this more smooth, we need to add a transition duration. So if we go back to our little CSS here, again, I'm going to copy the class name with the dot this time. When we apply it to a module, we don't use the dot. When we write it as code, we have to have a dot or a period in front. So I've copied that one. You can either drop down or you can put it on the top. I need that class name without the hover. Make sure that we've got the dot on there. It will not work. Now I'm going to open and close some more curly brackets. And I'm going to give it a transition duration to slow that hover effect down so it's nice and graceful. So we'll say transition, dash, duration, then give it a time. I'm going to use about 3/4 of a second, which would be 0.75s for mine. And that should do it. We should be good to go. Again, make sure you save your changes till we get the green check mark. We can go back to our page now. I'm going to add this to a few more things, this class name. Remember the class name, when we apply it to a module, we don't need that dot. So let's copy that one again. Control C to copy without the dot. And we can apply it to anything we want. I've actually got 3 modules here. If we want to do them all at once, I can apply it to the column that they're sitting in. So if I go into the row, that's column 2 we're looking at on the right-hand side here. Go into column 2. Always the same place, Advanced CSS ID and Classes. We can add the class name right there if we want that effect on all 3 of those. And let's just randomly throw it on a couple of these down here. At the moment, they're not doing anything. You know how to do that. Go into the module, Advanced CSS IDs and Classes. Put the class name in there. And let's do one of these images too. Like I say, you can apply this to anything that you want. Make sure you put it in the class and not the ID though. And last but not least, let's try one of these blurb modules too. Advanced CSS IDs and Classes in the class there. Save. We should be good to go. Let's save our changes now. Make sure that all of this is going to work on the front end. Save draft or publish if you're ready. And let's exit the Visual Builder. Fantastic. We can now roll on down to where we were working. There's our first one, that little image of the car. When I hover over, it's going to take 3/4 of a second to grow and add a little box shadow like that. We can still pop it out into a pop-up or a light box or however you've got it configured with the link in yours. And next door, as you just saw, we've got all 3 of these. That's happening with that. It's growing. It's adding the little box shadow. Really eye-catching things to have on your desktop site. Of course, these will work on tablet and mobile too, but they'll have to click on them. But they certainly add an interest value. Now, our dark ones here, you can still see that box shadow because it's lighter than the background there. But that's a nice little effect too. And of course, the image here you've seen before. And our little call to action boxes right here. And that's a really little nice effect. And using that Chrome Inspector, you can find out all kind of information, colors, CSS, everything that's going on your site there. Really easy to do. So there you have it, guys. There's how to add a little CSS effect to any module or element on your site. And like I say, you can really go to town with these things. You can create different ones for different elements. We could have a light version and a dark version, but this works for both for me. And like I mentioned earlier, using those inspector tools is a great thing to learn. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and WebDesignAndTechTips.com. Don't forget that piece of code that we wrote. I'll put it down below for anybody that just wants to copy and paste. But it is a great idea for you to learn and write that yourselves and come up with some interesting ideas. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.